Seeing an overdue credit card statement can make you sick to your stomach. Seeing your bank account dwindle to double digits or even single digits will make you feel like a gut punch. If more money leaves your bank account than what comes in, you're going to panic. And the truth is that debt can sneak up on any of us. Oftentimes we conform to our salaries and we begin to change our lifestyles and we mold our lives around the type and the amount of income that we get. And changing your daily life or getting a promotion sometimes doesn't really matter when you're just that much in debt. Debt can definitely hit you like a truck if you don't manage it correctly and you don't catch yourself before it gets even worse. Some people watching this video may have trouble paying off their student loans, maybe their mortgages, their car payments, etc. Whatever type of loan it is, there could be some sort of debt that is holding you down. The fact of the matter is that you need to understand how to properly handle debt. Digging yourself out of that hole takes a lot of commitment. And as silly as it sounds, the best preventative measure is to just not over leverage yourself. There will be warning signs before you place yourself into too much debt, so make sure that you catch them and you watch the rest of the video to really understand how you can pinpoint these mistakes that a lot of people make. Debt is more than just a negative impact on your financial life. It's a negative impact on your mental stress. So addressing these issues can help you better in other areas because you won't have to handle the stress that comes from being in debt. Now let's dive in for some further details. Managing debt is more than just paying off what you owe. It's actually understanding how you get into a position of debt in the first place. Let's break this down even further. Let's say you get a 0% interest credit card. You decide that you're looking for a sofa and the bank says, here you go, here's $5,000 on this credit card for 18 months, 0 interest free. And you say, whoa, 0 interest? Yeah, can I not jump on that? It's basically $5,000 that I get to pay off over the course of 18 months without any additional fee. And it's honestly something that I do capitalize on a lot myself. But when you're in a situation where you want to pick on warning signs, this is one of them. You get your $5,000 and then you buy your living room set that you wanted. And now you have the brand new sofa. And you say, man, well, I can't have a new sofa and not have a brand new TV. Right? I mean, that just doesn't make sense. You're not going to have the Walmart brand of the TV hanging up there. No, you want the Sony, you want the Samsung, you want the highest depth 8K video, whatever it is, you want the best in the market. And guess what? Here comes Best Buy, and Best Buy says, hey, I have 18 months interest free as well, and here's $7,000, for example. Yeah, I hope you wouldn't buy a $7,000 TV, right? But let's say that you say, oh my God, well, let's get the most expensive one they have. And you use up all the $7,000. You buy a TV, you buy a washer, a dryer, fridge because you buy the whole Samsung package and you saved X amount of money. So you put it on the credit card and now you're going to pay it off monthly. Or you could be like me and fell for it and bought a freezer that I just have in my garage with basically a couple of slabs of meat that honestly do fit in my regular fridge, but I bought the freezer, so I'm going to use it. In this point in time, you have the money available and mentally you say, okay, I don't have to pay it off right now. So I'll max it out. That's $388 a month for this one specific Best Buy purchase and $278 for your sofa living room set. Now, let's not forget that you have a car payment that's probably around $500. You have a mortgage or rent that's about $1,600. You have a light bill, water bill, electricity bill. You have all that stuff. And I don't want to stress you guys out by reminding you have bills to pay, but it's part of the video. Honestly, the 0% interest credit cards are bangers. I have 3 active right now. But in this specific scenario, the 2 cards alone that I activated to buy the sofa and the TV, together they're $667 on top of all my other payments that I didn't have before. And you might say, well, I can cover that. I have enough leeway, but you have to remember this is for 18 months. You're committing yourself to pay this money for a year and a half. Think about that. Think about the fact that you have to pay this off for a year and a half. It's just constantly 667, 667, 667. Like that adds up. And not only does it add up, obviously, into what you bought, but in case of a scenario where you don't have that much capital left or where you need some money to invest somewhere else or whatever the reason is, that money is being used for something that you may not have necessarily needed. So let's compare this if you were to get promoted. $667 a month increase is equivalent to probably more than a $10,000 salary increase. So if you get paid right now $75,000 a year, you would have to get paid $85,000 a year just to make up those $667. And honestly, and that's before taxes. So in reality, the take home, you would have to increase it by a lot more than 10,000, probably like 20 grand. So just think about that. The equivalent of a $500 to $600 to $700 payment, monthly payment, is the same as about a $10,000 to $20,000 salary increase a year. That is the increase that you have to get promoted to offset that extra payment that you have of $667 in this example. And I know this is a very unique scenario, but in reality, it's kind of not, because you can also use HELOC loans. You can actually purchase a car that's worth this much a month, a new mortgage, student loans, a business loan. There's a lot of types of loans that you can take out that don't necessarily specifically match my scenario, but the equivalent, the $667, those could be actually found in a HELOC payment, in a car payment, or another type of payment that you are putting yourself in debt, right? So think about the payment that you're making and the amount of money that you have to see in your next promotion so you can offset that. And this places you in a really bad rabbit hole, but let's circle back, because you need to understand how you actually get there. How do you get into the position where you say, man, this is just so much money that I'm dumping a month. I am in debt and I can't seem to get out. So in this specific scenario, you got into debt because of a credit card. Now, that won't always be the case. It could be the HELOC, like I mentioned before, but in this specific scenario, we're going to use the credit card. And the fact of the matter is, it's not just one financial decision most of the time that gets you to this spot. Oftentimes, the accumulation of bad decisions over and over again and saying, oh, I made it work last time, I can make it work again. Oh, I have one credit card, let me open up another one. Oh, I have two credit cards, but I can afford a car because my monthly payments here are not that bad. And one of the worst things is that sometimes you don't even get to choose. You can definitely have unexpected repairs and medical expenses that you were not expecting to have, and these emergency situations put you in a situation for debt. So let's say that I do have an emergency or something happens and I have to allocate my $667 into another type of loan that's a little bit more important, and now I neglected my 18 months zero interest credit cards. The 18 months are up and I still owe money. Part of that purchase is still in the credit card, and guess what? You're not going to be paying zero interest. Now, you're going to be paying probably 20, 25, well, depending on the rates. But right now, credit cards are probably in the 20s to 30 range, depending on your credit score. But a lot of these credit cards, maybe not so much the Best Buy and, like the Wells Fargo from actual banks, but if you get the ones that are like Synchrony, if you don't pay off the money that you owe off the bat when that term ends, they charge you the entire interest in one payment. Sometimes these issues are made into something even worse when you start using loans from other services and you start having to solve one loan with another, and you just dig yourself into further and further debt. It's very similar to running on a treadmill where you're running, but you're not moving from position. You're just kind of jogging in the same place, but you're not actually making any progress towards your end goal. Now, trust me, I understand that there's some people who don't have an option, and that's the only course of action that they could have taken, and they may have felt that it was the best one. I understand, and you need to be truthful with yourself. And if it was an unexpected expense, then it kind of does suck, but there's still ways around that where you can create GoFundMes, or you can start kind of looking for another job where you can bring in more income so you can pay off that side debt. So let's talk about how you actually break free from here, right? Because I'm not just here to attack you guys and tell you that you're in debt or whatever and there's no way of saving it. Okay, let's go over how do you actually break it. The first step is to look at your financial spending habits. You want to make sure that you identify the catalyst that got you into debt in the first place, like I mentioned. The best course of action here is to create a budget planner. If you don't have one, check my website. There's one for sale there at bridgingmindset.com. But you need to have a budget planner, whether it's mine or whatever, when you want to create. You need to track your monthly expenses and you need to see where your money is actually going. Once you have identified these problem areas, which are gulping up that money that you have, that excess money that you're spending, it's time to take action. This is where you're going to create a budget. A budget is your financial blueprint. It shows you where your money should go rather than wondering where it went. So you're going to start by listing your income and your expenses. Then you categorize them to discretionary spending. And the key here is to be realistic. If you love your morning coffee, budget for it. But perhaps cut back on other non-essentials. Now, don't get it twisted. I know some of you guys right now are nodding your heads and saying, dude, there's no way I'm going to give up my coffee. It's not going to make that big of a difference anyways. Guys, it doesn't have to be coffee. It can be anything. I have people telling me all the time, why are you telling me to cut this off? It's not going to change my life. I'm not telling you to cut that specific example off. I'm telling you to check your expenses and see what you personally, you as a person with your own expenses, your own very unique life, what you need to cut from your expenses, whether it's coffee, clothes, makeup, groceries, jewelry, whatever it is. What do you need to do to change to increase your monthly profit? So what expenses should you cut off so that they can go into your profit? The next thing you want to do is you want to prioritize your debt. So not all debts are created equal, okay? There's going to be high interest debt like credit cards, and those, honestly, in my opinion, should be your top priority. Consider using the avalanche method. That is where you pay off the debt with the highest interest. Or you can use the snowball method, which is paying off the smallest debt first to gain momentum. For example, let's say that I have a credit card that I owe $100 in, and it's maybe 30% interest. Using the avalanche method, I'd probably pay that one off first. Or if you were using the snowball method, maybe you have a loan that's $50, but it's zero interest, and you pay that one off first. Personally, me, I would pay off the one with the highest interest. That's just my opinion. And the math that has been used for both of these methods always reveals that the avalanche method is actually the method that's going to save you the most money. However, the snowball method is more of a mental stimulation for you. It actually stimulates your senses and it makes you physically see paying off debt. And that type of energy that it gives you and the type of positivity can technically help you enough to where you keep pursuing to paying off debt, as opposed to if your high interest payment is maybe 30 grand. Imagine how long it's going to take for you to pay off 30 grand, right? Because it's the most high interest. But think about it that way. Whether you want to save the most money or whether you're somebody that is very goal oriented and maybe you need that extra push every month, the snowball method may work. But if you're not, if you're just somebody who dumps money into your debt, then the avalanche method might work because it's going to save you money. The next step is that many people don't realize you can negotiate with creditors. If you contact them, sometimes you can actually get lower interest payments or you can get better repayment plans. And I know this may feel a bit intimidating for some people, but it's something that you just have to do. It doesn't hurt you at all to try, and the worst thing they can say is no. And you'd be surprised how many of them are willing to help you, because let's be honest, it's either they help you and you pay them back and they get their money, or you just stop paying them altogether and they lose the money. Now, when you approach them, you want to be approaching them in a good manner. You want to have a plan, you want to communicate to them professionally, and you want to demonstrate to them how you're going to pay off the debt. There's actually a few companies that would do this for you for a fee, but I would highly suggest you contact them first and see what they say before reaching out to one of these credit lenders, or credit helpers, because you're going to pay a fee for something and you may get lucky and be able to do it by yourself. So just try it at least. If it doesn't work, then I would say that at least look into that option. Another preventive measure is to build an emergency fund when you have money. By creating an emergency fund, you basically build a financial buffer that prevents you from relying on credit cards, on loans, or on anything else to pay off those unexpected expenses. And I know it sucks having a big emergency fund and then having to spend 4 or 5 grand on something. And you're kind of sitting there like, oh man, all that money that I worked hard to save up is just gone. But that's the point of an emergency fund. You want to have it, and in a need case, so that you don't put yourself in debt. And in the long run, it's going to be worth it. I promise you. It's worth it if you get an emergency fund and you actually use it the way it's supposed to. Now, I'm not saying to make a goal of $5,000. You can start off small, $500, and saving it, putting on a savings account, and at least looking at it there as an emergency fund. That should be enough. And remember, it has to be easily accessible. Don't be putting it in stocks. Don't be putting it in CDs, in bonds. Just put it in a high yield savings account, or in your personal savings account, or in your checking account. I would say a high yield at least, but you want it easily accessible. You want it as liquid as possible. My next suggestion, which is super obvious, is to avoid new debt, and that's easier said than done. It sounds like the most obvious example ever, like, oh yeah, that's easy, I can do that. But in reality, we all know how hard it is to avoid new debt. It's hard, man. It's hard. The best way to manage your debt is to stop adding to it. It's like trying to be on a diet and you have a plate that's full and you're like, okay, I just need to finish this last meal, and then boom, mashed potatoes, big carbs. You're gonna knock the hell out. You're gonna go to sleep probably after you finish it. Putting more food on your plate, putting more debt on your debt is only gonna make things worse. Trust me. Please. if you're managing debt right now, don't add on more debt into it. You need to cut up those high interest credit cards. You can't have them at home. You need to stop using them. You should only use credit cards when you pay them with statement balance, not the minimum balance. So right now, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, go to your bank account, check how you have your credit cards. If you have them on auto pay, it shouldn't be set to auto pay with the minimum balance. Why? Because it requires interest. You should have it set to your statement balance. Statement balance is basically saying, like, let's say your billing period is from July 15th, every 15th, right? From the 15th to the 15th. So whatever you purchase from between that time span is your statement balance. So if you pay off your statement balance, guess what? There's no interest. And you're still going to have money owed because whatever you bought on the 16th, right, is still going to be shown. And anything after the 15th is still going to show on the credit card, but that's for next month's payment. So make sure that you have it on statement balance, okay, guys? You don't want to be paying interest on credit cards that you don't need to have. Say no to impulse purchases. I have a bad habit with this, I'll be honest. Amazon, I hate Amazon so much because I buy stuff I don't need all the time. And you would think that it's stuff that is, you know what, I'll justify it. No. Like I buy the randomest thing. I bought a whole gardening tool set. It's still in the box. I don't even have a garden. I don't even have plants. I have plants, but I don't need to be in there trimming anything. They're just kind of growing right now. Maybe I'll use it later on, but my impulse got the best of me. I saw the picture, I saw the plants, and I was like, I want to get into that. I want to get into plants. I want to get into taking care of plants. And now I just have it there, and I have soil. I bought soil. I've bought so many pens off Amazon. You can just go to Target. Why am I buying it on Amazon? I don't know. Amazon is my weakness. That 5 to 6% cash back, you get 6% on some purchases. Trust me, I know. It's too good. I fall for it all the time. I didn't even need speakers for my computer. Guess what I bought? Speakers. Why? Because they were on special. Yeah, I'm going to buy speakers if they're on special because I'm impulsive like that. But don't be like me. Don't be impulsive. Don't be buying stuff on Amazon that you don't need. Don't be going to Target and saying, oh my God, I need to have those slippers or something. I don't know. My wife's always buying stuff on Target. If you don't need to buy it, don't buy it. Control yourself. Make sure that you're making the right financial decisions and don't be buying stuff that you don't need in your house. My last suggestion to you guys on how to get out of debt is probably the one that's going to work the most. And that is probably the one that actively in real time is going to work the most. And that is to get another job. I'm sorry to say it, or get a promotion. Honestly, I know this option is not something that you guys want to hear, but it's the truth. I'm here to tell you guys the truth. I'm not here to sugarcoat things and say, well, if you just try hard enough, you might be able to get away with it. No, that's not going to work. Your mindset is extremely important, but if you don't have the money physically, it doesn't matter what mindset you have. If you just physically do not have more money coming in, it's just a math problem. More money coming in than money comes out, you're never going to get out of debt. You need to get more money in than out. Screw the rest of it. The financial planning and the budgeting comes after. If you budget and you are good on everything and you say, I still can't make it, I don't have enough money. Well, guess what? You solve that problem by getting another job or by getting a promotion. And I've seen this firsthand. I know people who were in debt and they got another job enough just to where they were able to pay off everything that they owed. I have a friend who bought a house. And he had 2 jobs and he said, I want to keep working my 2 jobs so that I can build a cushion. I can build an emergency fund in case I have to. And I know it sucks that people are in this position. It sucks that somebody has to work 2 jobs just to be able to afford these types of things. But it is what it is, guys. If we complain about it, if we just put ourselves in a victim mentality, it's not going to get us anywhere. We need to actually act. In these examples, you can work overtime. You can do Uber. You can do delivery services, mowing lawns, whatever. It can be fast food, anything to get that extra money. Now, put your pride aside here. If you need to pay off debt, then you're going to need to make some sacrifices. It's that simple. I personally suggest a job overnight and maybe the other one on the second shift. I know it's asking a lot, but if you can plan it like that, I think it's perfect. Those jobs are usually less demanding because everybody's asleep. Everybody knows the job from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m., skate. It's skate, dude. Nobody's actually like, oh, I have 500 customers right here. What the heck? No, you don't. Why? Because that's an 8 to 5 job. At 12 a.m. to 8 a.m., dude, you're skating. Second job, 12 a.m. to 8 a.m., easy. And then you can get the first one from 8 to 5 if you're a little bit more, awake. Or you can also do a 5 to 12, which what I would do, in my opinion, if I was somebody in a lot of debt, I would put myself from at a 5 to 12 and then get another job from like 1 to 8 or something, back to back, and at night, second shift and third shift, because that way you get the two easiest shifts. And it sucks having to sleep during the day, I know, but at least that way you also prevent yourself from buying stuff that you don't need to buy. It's true. So managing debt is not just about numbers, right? It's about actually transforming your mindset and approach to money. Your habits here are going to play the biggest role. You have to understand the implications that your purchases have on your debt. So go ahead, implement some of these strategies. You're not just paying off debt, you're reclaiming your financial freedom. Be consistent, build resilience, build discipline, and keep understanding how to navigate these complexities. It's honestly a journey, and it's going to require patience and persistence, and everybody needs to be putting in 110% when it comes to debt. But remember, maybe you're not exactly where you want to be, but every step forward is a step towards financial stability and hopefully one day financial freedom. So take a deep breath, calm down. I know it might suck for some of you, but grab a pen, a paper, and start mapping out your plan. The road to financial freedom begins with one step, and you already did your first step by watching this video. Now, you just need to take action. Thank you guys so much. I hope to see you in the next video.